Okay, you tell me if I'm overreacting here, seriously, because I feel like I'm losing my mind. It's Soren, she's just gone. I mean, not gone, but you know that feeling. When the text gets shorter, the little heart emoji at the end of a sentence just vanishes. It's like I'm talking to a polite, efficient stranger all of a sudden, and I know what it is. It's her new friends from the accounting department. Ever since she got that promotion, she's been having these little after-work drinks with them, and they just seem so, I don't know, polished. Professional, and suddenly I feel like the messy college friend she's outgrown. God, it's giving me flashbacks. Like Major Jenna flashbacks. You remember what happened with Jenna, right? How one day we were everything, inseparable, and the next I was just background noise she had to deal with at parties. I can't go through that again, I just can't. It's so stupid, but I tested her once. A while ago, before all this. We were getting coffee, and I said something kinda mean about Paige, our mutual friend. Something about her new boyfriend being like a total downgrade, just dumb, catty stuff. And Soren, she didn't even hesitate. She just put her mug down and looked at me, with that super direct gaze of hers and said, Opal, that's not fair. You don't even know him. Ugh. My face got so hot, I wanted the floor to swallow me whole. I was like, oh my god, you're right, I'm so sorry, I'm just in a bad mood. But here's the sick part. The really messed up part, underneath all that embarrassment, I felt this like wave of relief. Honestly, it was like a little ding went off in my head, test passed. See, she's loyal. She's a good person. She won't talk behind your back because she won't even let you talk behind someone else's. God, what is wrong with me? But it made me feel safe. It made me feel like she was real, solid, but that feeling is gone now, totally gone, and all I feel is this gnawing panic in my chest. Because if she's pulling away, I need to know she's still solid. You get it right, I just need to be sure. So yeah, the panic just got louder, it wasn't just a thought. It was a physical thing. A low-frequency hum behind my eyeballs that got louder every time I saw her tagged in an Instagram story without me, laughing with one of those work people. The Jenna hum, that's what I started calling it in my head. And when it gets loud, I feel like I have to do something, anything, to make it stop. I just needed a little reassurance. I mean, it wasn't malicious, okay? I was just trying to check the foundations of our friendship to make sure they were still solid. Soren had told me, like, super privately, that she was thinking about seeing a therapist. Her job was killing her, just the stress, the endless spreadsheets, and she was feeling really fragile. She was so ashamed about it, like it was some kind of personal failure, a sign she couldn't hack it. She made me swear on our friendship, on everything not to tell a soul, and I wouldn't, of course I wouldn't. But a few weeks later, we were in our little group chat, me, Soren, Paige, and a couple of other girls. Paige was complaining about her boss, someone was sending burnout gifs, and the topic shifted to mental health. And my fingers just moved. I saw the opportunity, this perfect, horrible little opening. A tiny, sane part of my brain was screaming, delete it, you maniac. But the bigger, louder, terrified part whispered, no, this is necessary, this is how you'll know for sure. I typed it out before I could stop myself. I totally agree, it's so brave when people get help, like I'm so proud of Soren for taking that step for herself. I even added a little heart emoji. As if a cute little pixel could bandage the wound I was about to inflict. You know how group chats are, right? A flurry of GIFs, overlapping messages, a constant stream of consciousness. After my text, it was just nothing. A digital void. The three little dots that show someone is typing appeared next to Paige's name, then vanished, then appeared again. That's how you know you've really fucked up. Finally, Paige typed, oh wow, Soren, good for you, and someone else sent a string of clapping emojis. The support was hollow, forced. The damage was done. Soren just replied with that one single emoji, the one with the straight, flat mouth, the one that says nothing and everything at the same time. Later that night, she called me. Her voice wasn't angry, it was worse, it was flat like a landscape after a fire. Opal, why did you do that? And the crazy thing is, I had a whole speech ready. It just came tumbling out, a waterfall of self-serving bullshit. I was trying to help, I wanted to show you that it's nothing to be ashamed of. I was trying to, like, break the stigma for you, to show you that we all support you. Honestly, I thought you'd be happy that I was normalizing it for you. I could hear how shrill my voice was getting, how I was trying to make her the bad guy for not appreciating my grand gesture. There was this long pause on the other end of the line. I could hear her breathing, a slow, measured sound. And then she just said, okay, just please don't help me like that again. And she just dropped it. Ugh. She never brought it up again, she let it go. And that should have been the end of it, right? A normal person would have been drowning in guilt. But me, I twisted it. I twisted her kindness, her willingness to forgive me into another pass-fail grade. And in my fucked up, paranoid little world, she'd passed with flying colors. She had every right to be furious, to blow up the group chat, to expose me for being a terrible friend. But she didn't. She protected the relationship. And that meant, in my sick logic, that she was still loyal. The test was a success. God, even saying it now makes me feel disgusting, but at the time, it just quieted the hum. For a little while, that quiet didn't last long. The hum always comes back, it's like tinnitus of the soul, but this next thing, this was different. This wasn't just about her new friends or her job, this was about her dream. Soren had this secret, beautiful plan. She hated her finance job, truly hated it with a passion that was almost religious. It was sucking the soul out of her one Excel sheet at a time. Her real passion, the thing that made her eyes go all soft and sparkly, was plants. Rare ones, weird ones, fussy ones that needed a special kind of humidity. Her tiny apartment was like a jungle, a chaotic, beautiful mess of green. For years, she'd been squirreling away every spare dollar, working on a business plan in a password-protected file on her laptop, scouting locations on her lunch breaks. Her dream was to open her own little boutique plant shop. She'd even shown me the plan one night over a bottle of cheap wine. She pulled out this thick binder, and my God, it was a masterpiece. It was filled with spreadsheets projecting costs down to the penny, lists of rare plant suppliers in Southeast Asia, sketches of the shop layout, even a name, Soren's Corner. Her voice was different when she talked about it. It wasn't her tired, stressed out work voice. It was full of light, she was incandescently happy, and she'd only told me, I was the keeper of this fragile, wonderful secret. But as she got closer to making it real, as she started talking about meeting with potential landlords and getting business loans, a new kind of terror started creeping in. It was cold and sharp. The Genahum became a roar because this wasn't just after-work drinks. This was a whole new life she was building from the ground up. A life that would be filled with new people, suppliers, customers, other cool indie small business owners. A life where she would be busy, fulfilled, and successful. A life where her college friend, the one who worked a dead-end admin job and was still hung up on a betrayal from 5 years ago, might not fit anymore. My paranoid brain went into overdrive, creating these vivid, horrible little movies. I'd picture her calling me, her voice rushed and excited. Sorry, can't talk, gotta unpack a shipment of variegated monsteras. I'd see her laughing with some hip ceramicist who made custom pots for her shop. I saw her life becoming this vibrant, thriving ecosystem, and I was just a weed on the edge of the garden. The thought was unbearable. It felt like a physical threat, like a hand squeezing my throat. I was going to be left behind, again. The pattern was repeating itself, and I was helpless to stop it, and that's when the most twisted thought I've ever had took root. I convinced myself that this dream, this beautiful thing she was building, was the ultimate threat to our friendship. It was the final boss battle, and I decided I had to test it, I had to test her. I needed to know, before she signed a lease, before she poured her life savings into this thing, that I was still more important, that I would always come first. That our friendship was the foundation, not just a decoration in her new, perfect life. It wasn't even a conscious plan, not really. It was more like an obsession, a dark little seed that started growing in the back of my mind, whispering the same thing over and over. You have to be sure, you have to know where you stand before she's gone forever. The day came, the big one. Soren had a meeting with a landlord. It wasn't just any landlord, it was for the space. The perfect little corner shop in the cute neighborhood with the big front window. She'd been obsessing over it for months. This meeting was everything, it was the final hurdle. If this went well, her dream was real. She texted me that morning, a string of excited, nervous emojis. Wish me luck, 2 p.m., this is it. I stared at that text, and the hum in my head became a deafening siren. My heart was pounding in my ears, this is it. Her words echoed in my brain, but they meant something different to me. This is it, the moment you lose her. At 1:30 p.m., half an hour before her meeting, I picked up my phone. My hands were shaking, but my mind was weirdly calm. It was the calm of a person about to pull the pin on a grenade. I called her, she answered on the first ring, her voice breathless and happy. Opal, hey, I'm just about to head out, can I call you back in a bit? Soren, I said, and I was shocked at how real the sob in my voice sounded. It was a masterpiece of manufactured panic. Something's happened, I'm at the hospital. What hospital, what's wrong? The lightness in her voice vanished, replaced by pure alarm. I don't know, my stomach, it hurts so bad. They think it might be my appendix, I gasped, clutching my perfectly fine abdomen. They're rushing me in for tests, I'm so scared. I'm all alone. And then the master stroke, the little detail that made the whole lie a perfect, inescapable trap. I'm at St. Jude's, I whispered, St. Jude's is on the complete opposite side of town from where her meeting was. A traffic nightmare to get to. St. Jude's? Okay, okay, I'm on my way, don't move, I'll be there as fast as I can. Just hang on. She was already talking like a first responder, calm and in control. She didn't even mention her meeting. My heart gave a sick little lurch of triumph. She chose me. She hung up, I turned my phone off. For the next few hours, I just sat in my apartment. I didn't feel relief, I didn't feel safe, I just felt hollow. The silence was worse than the hum. Around 5 o'clock, I turned my phone back on. It exploded with notifications. 23 missed calls from Soren, a dozen frantic texts. Opal, where are you? I'm at the ER, they have no record of you. Which St. Jude's? There are 2 clinics. Please answer your phone, I'm starting to panic. Opal, I'm calling the police if you don't answer me right now. My blood ran cold. This had gone too far. I grabbed my keys and drove to her apartment, rehearsing my next lie. Oh my God, it was a false alarm, a terrible gas bubble. They sent me home, my phone died, I'm so sorry. I knocked on her door. When she opened it, she looked, I can't even describe it. Her hair was a mess, her eyes were red-rimmed and wild, her knuckles were white from where she'd been gripping her phone. She looked like she'd been through a war. But the moment she saw me standing there perfectly healthy, the frantic terror in her eyes just switched off, like a light bulb burning out. It was replaced by a stillness that was a million times more terrifying than any anger could ever be. She just stared at me for a long moment. Her voice, when it came, was quiet. Chillingly calm, which hospital, Opal? My rehearsed lies evaporated, my throat closed up, I couldn't say anything. You couldn't even keep your story straight, could you? She said, her voice devoid of any emotion. There is no St. Jude's Hospital. There's a children's research hospital and there's a medical plaza. Neither of them have an emergency room. The world tilted. I had been so focused on the lie, I hadn't even bothered to make it a good one. I was cornered, trapped, so I did what scared, pathetic people do. I attacked. So what? You didn't even come looking for me, did you? You probably went to your stupid meeting anyway. I could have been dying. My voice was shrill, ugly, and then I said it. The name that had been poisoning everything. God, you're just like her. You're just like Jenna. The second something better comes along, you just can't wait to get rid of me. Soren didn't flinch. She just looked at me, and for the first time, I felt like she was seeing me, really seeing all the broken, ugly parts of me, and she wasn't scared, she wasn't sad, she was just done. She just shut the door, not a slam, just a quiet final click, and that was it, she was gone. The next few days were a blur of escalating panic. At first, I was just pissed. I texted her a bunch of angry, self-righteous crap. Can't believe you just abandoned me like that. Some friend you are. Then when the anger burned out, the terror set in, I called. Over and over, it went straight to voicemail every single time. I left these long, rambling messages, alternating between sobbing apologies and furious accusations. I sent emails. I DM'd her on Instagram, nothing. It was like shouting into a black hole. She had surgically removed me from her life, blocked on everything. I was losing my mind. The silence she left behind was a physical presence in my apartment. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. The hum was gone, replaced by a roaring, screaming void. I started driving past her apartment at night, like a total psycho, just to see if the lights were on. One night, drowning in cheap wine and self-pity, I did what any desperate person in the 21st century does. I started Googling. I don't even know what I was looking for, her name, her work, anything, and then I found it. It was on a forum, one of those "Am I the asshole?" type places. The title of the post hit me like a punch to the gut. AITA for ghosting my best friend after her relentless loyalty tests became emotional abuse. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely hold my phone. I clicked on it, it was her. The username was plant-themed, the writing style was hers. And the story, it was my story, our story, but told from the other side. She laid it all out with a kind of detached, clinical precision. The accidental secret spilling in the group chat, the constant need for reassurance. And finally, the fake emergency room visit, described in horrifying detail, her frantic drive across town, her arguments with confused receptionists, the dawning, sickening realization that it was all a lie. It was all there, my entire campaign of psychological terror laid bare for strangers on the internet to judge, and judge they did. I scrolled through the comments, my vision blurring with tears. Hundreds of them, NTA, that's not a friend, that's a hostage situation. Run, run far away and never look back. This person needs professional help you cannot provide. This is classic emotional abuse. She's not your friend, you're her emotional support animal, and she's a terrible owner. Holy crap, the fake hospital trip is next level sociopathic. Block her on everything and change your locks. Reading those words, it was like being forced to look at my own reflection in a funhouse mirror, one that showed not a distorted image, but the ugly, twisted truth. For the first time, the story wasn't about my fear, my trauma, my needs. It was about what I had done, and it was monstrous. I was the villain, I had been the villain all along. I finally found her a week later. I knew she got her peat moss from a specific nursery supply on the industrial side of town. I just waited in my car across the street, feeling like the world's saddest private investigator. When I saw her walk out carrying a heavy bag of soil, I got out of the car. My heart was a hummingbird in my chest. She saw me and froze. She didn't look scared or angry, just tired. So profoundly tired. I walked up to her and the words I'd practiced 1,000 times in front of my bathroom mirror just spilled out. It was the perfect apology. I didn't make excuses. I didn't mention Jenna, I owned everything. I used the words from the forum: emotional abuse, manipulation, unacceptable. I told her she deserved better, that I was broken, and that I was so sorry for what I'd put her through. She listened. She just stood there holding the bag of soil and listened to the whole thing without interrupting. When I was done, a tear tracing a path through my makeup, she shifted the bag in her arms and looked at me. Opal, she said, and her voice was gentle, I forgive you. Hope, bright and blinding, exploded in my chest. For a second, I thought it had worked. But, she continued, and the gentleness in her voice was like a surgeon's scalpel, precise and utterly devastating. I can't let you back into my life. My life, she said, emphasizing the word, cannot be a testing ground for your trauma anymore. And that was it. She walked to her car, loaded the soil into the back, and drove away without a second glance. A few months passed. I started seeing a therapist. It was hard, ugly, but I was trying. One Saturday, I was just walking downtown, no real destination, and I saw it. A little corner shop with a big front window, a simple green sign that read Soren's Corner. I stopped breathing. Through the glass, I could see her. She was inside, wiping down the leaves of a huge fiddle leaf fig, talking to a customer. She was laughing, and the sun coming through the window caught the gold flecks in her hair. She looked happy. Peaceful, like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. My hand went to my pocket, my thumb instinctively swiping to open my camera. My first thought, my gut reaction was, I have to send this to her, she'll be so happy I saw it, and then I remembered. The chat window is gone, the contact is deleted, the person I wanted to share that moment with doesn't exist for me anymore. And I stood there on the sidewalk, an outsider looking in at the beautiful world I had tried to burn down, realizing that the only thing I had successfully destroyed was my own place in it.